Well, there are two hearings today in former President Trump's classified documents case in Florida. One, and it's going on right now, is a sealed hearing before Judge Eileen Cannon. The other, later this afternoon, will be a public hearing. Team Trump is arguing the search warrant to raid Trump's Florida home was unlawful. If the judge agrees with that, the evidence from the search would be thrown out. Also, liberal media are taking aim at Judge Eileen Cannon.
If this were an actual issue, it would ultimately be decided by the Supreme Court, not by a district court judge in Fort Pierce, Florida.
We're way beyond the point of, characterizing her merely as inexperienced.
She does not have the tools to handle a case that's this complicated.
Why create a situation where someone can argue that she's tainted? She should hand the case off.
She makes one outrageous comment after another, one outrageous ruling after another.
She comes off as a rookie. It's insecurity as well as inexperience.
I don't know what trial they have been watching. A Wall Street Journal op-ed is titled, "Taking Down Judge Eileen Cannon." Quote, "It isn't hard to imagine the praise Judge Cannon would be getting had she cleared the way for Mr. Smith to convict Mr. Trump before the election. But because Judge Cannon believes the Constitution and law must not yield to Mr. Smith's political timetable, she has joined the list of judges whose reputations must be destroyed." Andrew Cherkasky, former prosecutor, federal prosecutor, rather. Have you ever seen anything like this? What are we watching exactly?
Well, Judge Cannon's courtroom is the closest Donald Trump has gotten to due process in all of his various criminal trials. And I think that the left is very upset with that idea. Due process isn't just the idea of it getting rushed to trial and getting a verdict. Due process is the idea that a criminal defendant or any person in a courtroom has an ability to fully litigate all legal issues that are cognizable under the law. Now, the case against Donald Trump in Florida is a novel case. There is no judge who's previously gone through something like this, certainly not in the federal court system. And I don't think that Judge Cannon should be calling Judge Merchan to get much advice in terms of how to handle a case dealing with Donald Trump. So it is very reasonable for Judge Cannon to go through the process of hearing arguments, receiving filings on all of these issues, and making decisions. To her credit, she's decided some things in his favor. She's decided some things against him. And that's the way that these processes should go. The biggest injustice is for a trial to rush to a verdict and then later on ask important questions about the justice in the first place.
Right. I mean, that's kind of what we saw here in New York. And by the way, some of those speaking up were among the same liberal media who gushed over Judge Merchan, who you just mentioned, who presided over that New York City. Also novel case, never been tried before, never been seen by a judge in the jurisdiction as well, against Trump. All right, we do have some breaking news, and I'm glad you're with me. The Washington, D.C. Bar Association has officially suspended Hunter Biden's license to practice law, and this follows that conviction in a federal gun case. It comes as his legal team is officially filing for an appeal of that guilty verdict, and Hunter's lawyers are arguing a lack of jurisdiction, a legal technicality that does not challenge the merits of the case. Hunter Biden was convicted of 3 felony counts earlier this month. He faces a maximum of 25 years behind bars. The judge has yet to set a sentencing date. And I know they have, about 120 days to get that date in. We're not that far into it. Maybe they're out. Maybe they're waiting for the appeal. I don't know. But what do you make of this?
Well, it's about time that the D.C. bar takes some action against Hunter Biden. I've been throughout his entire litigation process, I've been continuing to look at that, and his license was in good standing that whole time. Now, just a simple conviction for this drug offense may not actually remove his bar license entirely. But what I think really needs to be looked at with this recent filing by the defense team to quash the case or to kill it based on an issue where the defense says that the en banc, the entire appellate panel should have looked at this case before it ever went to trial. That's crying over spilled milk. That's old news. That's something that should have been brought up before the trial ever started. If the defense had a problem with that, I do not see a likelihood that this is going to be sent back to a new trial or somehow invalidate the trial. And then to talk about the simple idea of judges entertaining novel issues that should have never been brought in the first place. I think this very issue about this idea of trying to undo the trial at this point is the type of novel issue that's outside the bounds of anything I've ever seen before.
Wow.
So I don't see any relief coming Hunter Biden's way.
Well, look, I mean, to the attorney's credit, they're going to do everything they can to get their person to stay out of jail. We'll see how it shakes out. And as soon as we have a sentencing date, of course, we'll report that. Andrew, thank you for being with me.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.